Hi there, welcome to Parenting How Not to Suck. I want you to know because you clicked on this, you absolutely do not suck. There is no such thing as a perfect parent, but there are wonderful parents out there that want to make their journey a bit easier. So, welcome. Today we have my wonderful friend Jahavni, and she is here. She is a certified conscious parenting coach and a mom of two, 9-year-old daughter and 6-year-old son. Despite her background in special education and years of working with children, she struggled to connect with her own daughter and felt overwhelmed by the authoritarian parenting model she grew up with. A pivotal moment inspired her to explore conscious parenting, transforming her approach to parenting, her relationships, and her life. For the past 4 years, she has been empowering parents with science backed tools and insights from attachment theory, neuroscience, and emotional intelligence to foster secure and connected relationships with their children. Passionate about making parenting easier and more fulfilling, she is dedicated to guiding families toward greater peace and connection. Thank you, honeys, for being here. We
Thank
all need this. We all need this. And I find it, that you're so authentic and real to say you are having some difficulties with your own children. Even those of us that are in this work, a perfect parent doesn't exist. Nobody has all the answers, right?
such a thing.
No, there is no such a thing. And
I thought that was, but so wrong.
oh yeah, me
So
too,
wrong.
especially coming from education, right? Oh yeah, I know everything. I
And
got this.
when you're a perfectionist, I'm a
Yeah,
recovering perfectionist, so it's hard
yeah,
not to
it
be perfect
is.
in all your relationships and motherhoods in particular.
Absolutely. Hardest job in the world. I'll always say that. So tell us a little bit more about your story about how you really transitioned from working in the special education to moving into the parent coaching. Like what was the catalyst?
Yeah, honestly, Natalie, I didn't even know there was such a thing as parent coach. Like, I think a lot of us maybe don't know
Yes.
there's such a thing, and I had no idea. And I was just so confident when I became a mom with my first child, coming from a special ed background and loved kids, studied psychology, and I thought I'll be an awesome mom.
Yeah.
So ready for this motherhood journey, but little did I know that when my daughter started talking and started
Hmm. Asserting herself.
yes, I saw a different side of me that came out that I didn't even know existed.
Mm,
I'm not an angry person in general, but a lot of anger came out. And all the things, all the ways of parenting I knew, to the traditional ways, the way I was parented, and the way I was taught in my undergrad, to be honest, a chapter on consequences and timeouts. And I remember like we had literally chapters on those things.
yeah.
I was applying all those things thinking I'm doing the right thing. But by the book I was going, by the wrong books.
There's so many of them out there, right? How do you know?
How do you know? But some somewhere internally didn't feel good to me. Like I was
Mm,
feeling every single day I was disconnecting with my little girl.
yeah.
And I had this deep fear within me that, hey, she's only 2 and this is how I'm feeling. I didn't even know how she must be feeling. Like she was
Yeah.
just starting to talk and her vocabularies and all. So I just didn't feel good about my parenting. I was like, and of course, I was in such an ego because I was, hey, I came from an education background.
Mhm.
I,
We should know. We're
I,
supposed to know
I
this
should
stuff.
know.
Yeah.
And I started seeing parents out there. I was like, they know what they're doing. Seems like they got what it takes, but
Yeah.
I don't. Why am I feeling whatever I know is not working with my child and we're getting disconnected? And I had this deep fear. By the time she's a teenager,
Mm,
we will have no relationship if this continues like this.
yeah.
And I just started praying for answers. I was like, okay, I don't know how else to do, but there gotta be a different way of parenting that doesn't feel so horrible. At the end
Mm,
of the day, I didn't feel good about my parenting. I was like, there gotta be a different way. And I just started looking and searching and all that. And I really believe the universe really wants to get closer to what you are. We're all meant to live authentically, and you're looking for answers to be more authentic, to get closer to that authenticity. Answers were given to me like left and right. Things started unfolding, and I started coming across thing called conscious parenting, which I had no idea.
Yeah.
And now we hear it as conscious parenting, empowered parenting, peaceful parenting. There's just so many names,
So
but
many. Yeah.
I came across it and it was so novel to me. I was like, gosh, this seems nothing like how I was parented. I even questioned, is this gonna work? It's
Mm,
not the way things have happened. But I was like, hey, what I know doesn't work. So I need to
yeah.
be open to try and see how this is. So, the whole journey started with shifting my parenting, shifting my mindset, and learning different ways of parenting that were research based, science backed up by science. And I just had this trust and faith that this is going to work. It doesn't make sense to me yet. I was like, okay, this is so new to me, but something about this feels right to me.
Mm,
Because I think at that time I was ready that, hey, it's not my child. It's something within me needs to shift. It's not my child. Like I had that level of awareness. Till then,
yes.
I was just fumbling and trying to get through and hoping it will land well. But when I got that awareness in my journey, I realized, okay, I need to shift within me. And I had to trust that the outside world, including my parenting, my child, everything will fall into place. And it
Did.
shifted my parenting, shifted my marriage. And I decided I wanted to be a parenting coach because I was like, hey, this information I've learned needs to go out to people. This needs, it
Yes.
can't just stay with me. This, like,
Mm-hmm.
how come parents don't know about this? Well, how come I didn't get to know about this before I got
Yeah.
pregnant with my first child? I was like, I was super excited that, okay, this is my mission, my passion. I
Mm,
learned this is my calling, like within me. I just felt it
I love that.
this in life, and let's do
Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you realized that when your daughter was 2 and as our children do, we grow with them and they hit our triggers sometimes. And like you said, that anger that just came out of nowhere, you're like, what the hell? What? This isn't me because I know myself included, right? You're in the classroom, you're with special needs, you're with behavior challenged children, you're just like chill, everything's fine, you're keeping your cool. But with your own child, it's a whole different kettle of fish, even with all the education and training that we had. And some of it, as you said, is it wasn't great for at the time we went. The other point you made that I love is realizing, and I think this is a huge awareness that I think a lot of parents, I would love a lot of parents to realize is what you're doing and how you're moving in the world as a parent when your child is under 5 at that 2-year old, you are building that relationship. You're investing in your 14-year-old,
totally.
right? So you
It starts
it
from birth. I think it
yeah,
starts with when they're in your womb. I feel like
yes,
that's yeah.
absolutely. And it may seem overwhelming and it may seem a lot of work that you have to be this consistent and you have to be acknowledging their feeling and all of these things, but put the work, it is so worth it to put the work in because then the teenagers, they grow up with that, you have that connection, right? And that's what, as parents, that's what we want for our kids.
And with connection, you're going to get that cooperation that I was so longing for. It
Yes.
just came. It just came after once the connection piece happened, and not just connection with my child, connection with me first,
Yes.
and then with my child.
Yes, absolutely. And so now let's get into the importance of parent coaching, what it is and what it's not. Because I know what I get when I tell people that I'm a parent coach after being a teacher for 30 years. They're like, "Your parent, I don't even know. What are you doing? What is this you're
Yeah,
doing?"
totally.
So I know we have the same ideas about this. So share, why is it important, what it is, and what it's not.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. So I think earlier you mentioned, Natalie, parenting, the most important job on the planet. I think
Mm,
to me, it's mind-boggling that when somebody goes out to get a job, even a driving license, we need to educate ourselves. We need to get a degree or a license to get what to land
yeah.
a job or go behind that steering wheel. But this most important job on this planet, parenting,
Hmm.
there's nothing. There is no prereq or any
No.
education, or if we are biologically ready to become a parent, you become a parent.
Yeah.
And it just makes me cringe that there is so much that a parent needs to learn before they have a child, because unfortunately we're not taught these things, the emotional intelligence piece, the brain development piece. We're not taught all those
That's
things
right.
in school, or through our parents. Our parents did the best they could,
Yeah.
but they didn't have this education 20, 30, 40, 50 years back. But now we do. So I think that's the modern parents' responsibility to learn what's available to us now, which wasn't before, and be that connected, conscious, authentic parent. So that's why I feel like, and yes, you can, there are amazing conscious parenting books out there, no doubt about
Yeah.
it. And I read it, you read it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I remember when I went on this journey, Natalie, I grabbed all the tools, right? All the free stuff, all the free courses,
Yeah.
all the
Mm-hmm.
webinars, all the
Freebies,
masterclasses,
downloads, tip
all the books.
sheets.
Yes, I did it all.
Yeah.
And I was getting in my way because I felt I don't need somebody to teach me how to be a parent. Like I had this whole huge ego issue
Mm.
that nobody can teach me. I can just learn it on my own. I don't need anybody.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was putting all education within me. So cognitively, I was understanding stuff. But when I try to implement what I read in the book, I learned from a free course or a freebie, it wasn't working with my child.
Mm.
It wasn't because my family dynamic, the books and all talks generic stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a cookie cutter. I tell all my client moms that it's not a cookie cutter. What
No.
works with this one mom is not going to work with the other. What works with this, even you have two kids in the family, what works with one
Yeah.
doesn't work with the other.
Exactly.
How
Exactly.
not? So you need more hand holding, you need more support to walk you through that path so you understand. Basically, showing the mirror, right? The coach helped me see the mirror, which I wasn't able to see myself.
Yes.
I feel parent coaches really provides the education in things like child development, nervous system science, brain development, nonviolent communication, which I think should be a course
Yeah.
in high school, and this emotional intelligence piece. And then secondly, we provide accountability for our clients to make those small and positive changes in their parenting that have such a tremendous impact on our kids. And a
Yeah.
big part of our job as parenting coaches is to really lovingly hold up that mirror so that parents can see their blind spots where they are
Yes.
defending unresolved emotional wounding or even trauma from their own childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is inadvertently putting pressure on their kids to avoid or live into their own experiences. So, and finally, I feel parent coaches provide that judgment-free zone,
Absolutely.
judgment-free, compassionate, empathetic support to parents who are committed to doing their very best at the most important job we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that non-judgmental piece is huge because I think some people, and I've said this to you before, when they hear, oh, you're a parent coach, like everybody's fine with a life coach, everybody's cool with the business coach, but they think parent coach is coming in with our bag of tools, a super nanny, going to tell you everything you're doing wrong. And
Yeah,
that is
that is not.
absolutely not what we do.
No.
Are we a sounding board? Yes. Are we that, like you said, help people see those blind spots? Because you yourself, you went through it. You had all the education and all the tip sheets and free courses and knowledge, but it's the putting that into practice and there's blind spots that you don't see. And just another person, and yeah, maybe you have your best friend or whatever, but parent coaches are typically also trained in child development and brain science. And listen, it's like a shortcut too. Yep, you can read all the books on brain science and emotional intelligence, but there's no need for every single parent to know every single ounce of that
I
information.
have had moms who was like, I don't want to read a book, just tell
No,
me what
yeah,
it is
right.
to
Just
know
tell
for
me what
this
I need to
child.
know to get
Yeah.
through this stage. And I think another big thing of what we do is build parents' confidence, right? So when they see after 2 or 3 weeks of making a change like this big,
Oh, yeah.
and they don't even think that it's going to make any difference at all, and then over the course of that little bit of time, they're like, "Wow, you couldn't believe what's happening now, right?"
Little wins turns into such a big win that
Oh,
I
huge.
think we don't realize it till we experience it when we're on
Hmm.
the path. And I think we us coaches, we bring parents really closer to their own truth. I
Yes,
believe that we all have the answers within us. And we are so trained to ask the right questions as a coach. I bring parents close to what's true for their family dynamic, what
that's
are
right.
their values. And when I teach parents how to set boundaries with their family values, it's a whole different ballgame. It sticks. It
Yeah,
sticks with you. It sticks with your kids because
absolutely.
it's not because your parents did that, so you also have that great boundary now, but it doesn't make sense. It's not working with your family. Or maybe you need to put that value in place. Then it makes, okay, this is the reason why we have this boundary. There's a reason behind it, not because
Yeah,
mommy said so.
that's right. Or that the coach said so, right? That's
Exactly.
such an important point that you make, that also what parent coaches do is work with your family and your family's values, judgment free. They're not my values, they're not your values, not the coach's values, it's your family's values. And as you said, the transformation then is able to stick and it's easier for the family to continue on because they're well aware this is my value, this is really important to me. And so when they reach some of those challenges, they can always go back to those values. And the parents have the answers as well. When I first started the training, my first a module, they were talking about the process that we use through Parent Coaching Institute. And they were saying the parents will, it's a co-creative, that the parents typically come up with the solutions. I'm sitting back on, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to work. Every one of my clients so far. I'm sitting there dumbfounded, right? I can't believe they just came up with that
Oh,
because that's
oh,
how we're trained is to ask those questions. So when the parent comes up with a solution themselves,
yeah.
that's when transformation happens.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It feels good to you because it's not somebody told you what to do. It's something you came up with, and it's just beautiful. It's a whole different way of looking at things, and you're learning new skills in the process. That, not just parenting, but what you learn in this container, you bring it in. It's a ripple effect. Not
Yes.
you're exemplifying to your kids, your spouse is learning from you, your colleagues are learning from you. It's such a ripple effect. And it
Yes,
just
it's true. It's true because we are parent coaching. So I know I talked to self-care piece and work environment piece because a family's a dynamic living system. It's hard to affect one area and not affect the others. But at that, and so in a good way, when people work with a parent coach, it not only affects their family unit with their relationship with their child, but like you said, also their spouse, their environment at work, if that's been a stressor. I've talked to clients about that. How can we reduce your stress in that area? And are you taking care of yourself? That's a huge buzzword today, but very important, right?
Yep. So
Yeah,
cliche, but you can serve it from an empty cup. Simple
that's
as
right. Yeah, it's just no good. So what are some of those things that I know you and I both have an opinion on this, that I think what people think parent coaching is, but what it's not. What are some things that we are not, that's not part of our job?
I think, like I said, like I always tell parents that I'm never going to tell you what to do. I'm never going to talk about that. Hey, you have the answers within you. I'm not going to tell you what to do because it's not going to land.
Yeah,
You're not going to be able to carry forward for long term. So my job is not to tell you, hey, you are misbehaving with your child. Hey, you shouting,
yeah,
all yelling is not okay and all that. My job is to educate you and tell you what is the brain development of your child, and whatever you're doing, is that working for you? I'm going to ask you a question.
yeah,
Hey, what you're doing, is that working for you? If the
yeah.
answer is yes, by all means continue.
Yep,
If
with no
the answer is
judgment.
no, right, without any judgment.
Yeah,
The answer is no, then let's be open and curious. Okay, what can we do to shift things? I hate to work with somebody who is not open and curious about it, right? You want to be open and curious about learning new ways of. For me, it was hard because I came
yeah,
from in such an authoritarian parenting style. So all this thing was very difficult. When a coach told me something, I was not totally receptive to it.
yeah. It wasn't feeling good
It
because
was
you didn't know anything about
I
it.
didn't know anything about it, but I kept my mind open and curious, like a little. child's brain. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be open-minded and going to give this a try.
Yeah.
Give this a try and see what happens, and we'll take it from there. And I kid you not, like every single thing I did that the coach helped me get answer to, and then I applied it, it was a game changer. My children started listening to me.
Yeah.
My children started putting shoes in the shoe rack.
Yeah. Those little things mean so
Crazy.
much,
Yeah.
right? They
Like I
just
don't
take,
have to shout and yell anymore. I'm like, oh my God, what a blessing.
yeah,
Because the things I did, it's not all about connection, right? Even with your
absolutely.
spouse, it's all about connection piece that, hey, once you feel heard, if your child, your spouse feels heard, they're going to hear you back. But if they're not feeling heard by you, there's going to be friction.
There's definitely going to be friction. Absolutely. It's so important, that connection piece. And those of us that didn't grow up with highly connected parents, and I was one of them, that were back in my day, I'm 51, going on 52, and my parents were just emotionally disconnected. They were there for our physical needs, and you towed the line. And we were also kicked outside at 8 a.m. in the morning and came home when the street lights came on. That connected piece and how to do that, and what are there was some simple ways that parents can do that, because I don't want people to think, oh, in order to be connected with your child, you have to spend every waking moment that you're not working sitting on the floor playing, doing this, doing that. Like, it's not that. And actually that could be more detrimental if a parent thinks that's what being connected to their child is. So I know this wasn't one of our questions we talked about, but this is me going off script. There is no script, people. But what are give some our listeners some examples of just some ways that they can connect, that are simple, that are easy, that are probably things they're already doing.
Yeah, I feel sometimes it's all about connection. Like first, I always say if a child is throwing a tantrum, there's, especially if they're younger, there most of the times the unmet need could be connection. So
Mm-hmm.
all of my clients, like we have that one-on-one mandatory one-on-one time with each one of your child, even if it's 5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But it's so crucial and it's such a game changer. Like
Mm.
I started doing this, like I started giving 5 minutes in the morning. So when I wake up, my son is very cuddly and he loves cuddly and connection, peace. And if I give him those 5 minutes, even 3 minutes in the morning, where
Yeah.
I'm laying down with him as I'm waking him up, it's a game changer. Things starts moving faster in the morning. But if I am
Awesome.
just demanding, hey, it's time to wake up, get up, brush your teeth, if hey, I'm going
Yep.
in demanding mode. Yes, thing needs to get done. The bus is coming. I get all that. But if you're just giving 3 minutes, 5 minutes of your time in the morning to connect, things moves
It
much more
sets the frame for the day.
faster. And same thing after school. Kids are away from you, right? Like they are constantly on demand, doing things 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And now they're in your safe space with you, with their safe person. They're going to let loose. A lot of times I hear moms saying, hey, my kids are throwing the bag and just putting themselves.
Yeah. Stomping through the house.
Yeah, and just or throwing a tantrum. And I know I felt like so offended in the beginning. I was like, hey, I waited for you all day long. I missed you. Not a hug, not a kiss, and you're going straight to tantrum.
Yeah.
Not fair. Like I put myself in that victim mode. But when we understand the child's psyche, that their brains are not meant to sit, like this
Mm-hmm.
education system is, yeah, it's
Oh, that's
like
a that's
whole
another
other thing.
recording.
So like when we understand that, we have a lot more compassion and empathy towards our children that, hey, he's gone through so much. God knows what else he's gone through too. They're developing friendships and learning new things and learning
Mm.
different vocabularies. There's just so much going on in their underdeveloped brains. So if I could do that connection piece with him. Now, like some kids want to be left alone, but
Yeah.
if your child enjoys that connection. So understanding that, my daughter would rather be left alone, whereas my son, that's his tendency. He pushed me away.
Mm-hmm.
I learned he's 6, he wants me to go away. So I cannot feel offended. So I'm going to give him that extra love and care and
Yeah.
be playful and try to connect with him that, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go out for a walk? Do you want to just cuddle up and not say anything? Sometimes just keeping zip. A lot of times us parents, like, we want to know, how's your day? What did
Yeah,
you do? And some kids are just, they want to be low key and they don't want to talk about it. And yes, in the nighttime, then everything comes out that you want to keep your
it's true. When it's
stuff
bedtime.
at
Yeah,
bedtime,
along with the glass of water
right?
and the this
Yeah.
and that.
Yeah. So I would say 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes after school, give plenty of time in the nighttime. So our lights are out at 8 and 8 to 8:30 in the dark, we're just talking because
Yeah,
everything comes out that time. So we hang out 7 to 8, 7:30 to 8, where we're reading journal. My kids are into journal writing. So we do
yeah.
all good stuff. And then 8 o'clock lights out. And then now it's just talking. We're just talking in dark. And
Mm-hmm.
they're drifting. They don't even realize when they drift into sleep. They feel heard. They feel connected.
Yeah.
They had enough time. And I don't feel rushed. If our bedtime was later, then it's going to be hard. I'm like rushing. Hey, get to bed, go to sleep. No more talking.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
But
mentally
now that
prepared.
I've learned of a rhythm, I'm prepared. When I
Yeah.
wasn't, there was a lot of chaos in my house. With bedtime
Mm,
was a struggle in this household.
yeah.
Now I learn what my kids are needing, what my daughter and my son and myself, what do we all need? And I'm
That's
trying to
right.
work my schedule around. So sometimes we just go in that hamster wheel, like us parents, we're just in hamster. We just keep doing the same thing, even if it's not working. We're afraid sometimes to do those changes. And when you have a coach holding your hand, I think it's much more supportive. With my one-on-one clients, we even have Voxer support where they can get in touch with me. Like they have a parenting coach in their back pocket to guide
Yeah.
them through the whole process. They are pro at it and they feel confident about it and have more clarity about their family dynamic, what's working, what's not working. So I
Yeah.
think your kids are only little for a little while.
Absolutely.
And when you waste all this and thinking, hey, a lot of parents come to me when their kids are teenagers because that time they're like, oh my gosh, I need help
Yeah.
now. And it's not too late, but wouldn't it be so nicer when we learn things from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
implemented it, and never felt that disconnection? We like teenagers doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
We make it difficult
Yeah.
without,
And if that it's building that connection first and continuing it on. And I loved what you said about how every child is different about what they need or want for connection. So I love just a little in the morning, little in the afternoon, and the bedtime routine. So many parents struggle with bedtime routine, and it's about changing your perspective. What does, and looking at what does each person in this need, right? Because we can't discount the parents' needs. The parents have needs as well. So it's about balancing all of those things. And listeners, as a parent coach, we're not going to go come in and tell you and make you make all these big changes at once, right? How the process goes over the weeks is we tell you to try this little piece and then we'll add this little piece on. And that's how the transformation changes, right? And the confidence of the parent. It's so beautiful to see them just, I
they're
can
no
do
longer just
this.
winging it, right? It's not just, hey, I'm just winging it, hoping it will well. Like
Yeah.
a lot more confident about their parenting, their choices and what they're bringing into their family system.
Yeah, and it's based on their values and also and I'm sure you do this too, based on what their individual personal strengths are and the
Mhm.
strengths of their spouse, right? Because typically we have two parents, just as two children aren't the same, usually the two parents have different styles as well. It's important to balance the strengths of each parent as well when going through these challenges. I love it. I love it. So what tell me transformations. I know you have many stories of clients that have
Yes.
made amazing transformations, but I want people to hear what parent coaching can do.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love my all my clients and sharing their stories, their transformational stories. But I'll tell you about this one mom who came to me when she was at the end of her rope in her parenting. She was she had two kiddos, a boy and a girl in under 5, and she was just not confident in what she was doing And that showed up in her relationship with her kids because when they were not confident and did not trust her parenting,
Mm,
there were sibling conflicts, arguments with the husband, not being on the same page as she was. There were a lot of loose ends, and she was not able to express her boundaries or have those communication skills. She didn't know how to set those boundaries with kindness and firmness. She was
mm,
either too strict and harsh, or she let her kids walk all over her.
permissive. Yeah.
Yeah, permissive, or she was like she didn't know like how to be firm and kind at the same time. Like she didn't understand that concept.
Yeah.
The way she was parented, it was all her parents were all permissive. So she vowed to herself that, hey, I'm never gonna be that parent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
How many
totally
people do
take it.
that?
So
Yeah.
she went on the other extreme, and our kids don't need that. Our kids don't need permissive. Kids needs boundaries,
Hmm.
and kids need that love and connection and kindness as well. And so there was just a lot of sibling conflicts, anger, just like me. Anger was coming up for me. There was just yelling and punishments. That's all she knew. Like
Yeah.
like every time she would sit down, I remember one time she told me like she would sit down to have coffee, and she'll leave the kids with their breakfast, and she'll go, okay, finally I'll get to enjoy my coffee. And kid starts bickering just when she's leaving the first sip.
Yeah.
And she like so much anger would come within her. Finally, I'm sitting down. How many of us went through this, right? You guys
Mm,
are fighting now. Like, how dare you don't understand, you don't care about other people, right? All these things came out from her
yeah.
mouth. And of course, then the guilt sinked in. She was like, I was too
Mm,
harsh on my kids. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have punished them, all those things. And so she came to, I need help. I need help. I don't know what else to do. And we went through, I have a 12-week course where we went through the whole process of first, it's very important to get familiar with your history. So we
mm,
got familiar with her, how she was brought up, and how that is bringing into her parenting. Just that module itself, it's such a big aha moments after aha moments happens that, okay,
yeah.
now I understand why am I doing this. This is where it's coming from. This is my history. Hey, it doesn't have to continue. Now that you're aware this is where it's coming from, now what can we do differently?
That's right.
So much awareness came. I think she had her father's history. She had so many aha moments where she was expecting her husband to do certain ways, and he was doing it, but she had a whole different perspective because her dad wasn't there for her. And every time her husband did something that felt like she wasn't in the family dynamic due to work
Mm,
or whatever reasons, she just went into that mode that, hey, I don't want my kids to not have a dad like I didn't have a dad. And she was just
yeah.
bringing her old stories, not knowingly. She was not aware of it. She was doing
That's
that,
right.
but she was bringing it. And then she had some breakups in the past too, where her dad wasn't there. All her story was like all the men left her. With her son, she had similar thing that whenever her son would show aggression, she would feel like, oh, he's showing up like my ex. And is it going to
Mm,
turn out like that? Just so much fear goes
yeah.
into her mind.
Hmm.
That's why what our inner knowing gets buried in more further in, and that's what happened to her. And she was not parenting with trust and love. She was parenting from a lot of fear. Her marriage
Yeah.
was all about fear. But when she learned the skills, the communication skill, the nonviolent communication, when she learned, hey, my 4-year-old doesn't have a capacity to know that this ball can only hold so much cereal, of course it's going to
Yeah.
keep pouring without knowing it's going to spill out, right? Like simple things like that, knowing they don't have them, their brains are not fully developed, and this is what my child's capacity is at this stage in his life. It brought her so much more peace within her that, okay, my expectation is too much. I'm
Yeah.
expecting him to be 15 and he's only 4 years old.
Yeah.
It's just, wow, okay, expecting a lot from my child. So there was just so many things. And then when she started shifting herself and started healing within, rewriting her own stories, that she got familiar with her stories, things started shifting for her. Like her energy, like we all know, right? Like the nervous system, if we are not calm, our
Yeah.
children are borrowing our nervous system to be calm.
They
They're
feel it.
co-regulating. They feel
Hmm.
it. And when we are coming from a different energy, the energy of our child shifts automatically,
Yes.
right? Because, and they're borrowing our nervous system. So it's our responsibility that we give ourselves that care. Like we said earlier, we got to keep our cup full, full that it would
Yep.
into the sausage, and you're serving everybody from the sausage. Now your cup
Yeah,
still remains full.
that's right.
Then it's going to land well with your kiddos. They're going to see you. You're exemplifying it. You're
Hmm.
learning that, hey, anger is not bad, but I need to learn how I need to channel this anger, how I need to make friendship with this anger, which probably sounds funny to a lot of people
Yeah.
if you're not familiar,
No, I get it.
but it's just an emotion that needs to flow through our bodies. And once we
Hmm.
learn that and how to exemplify it, one of the things she taught that I taught her that worked for her, again, we went through so many self-calming tools, and one of them was just taking a towel when all those trigger came up, and
Hmm.
to just
Bowel.
bring it in and get it all. And she did it in front of her kiddos, right? Like not to show that and to make them scared or anything, but hey, kiddos, I'm getting angry, and instead of me yelling at you, I'm going to this towel,
That is,
get my anger all out, get it all out,
yeah,
and now I feel so much better. And now we can talk. Let's
that's
calm.
modeling is so huge. How else do our kids learn that?
Exactly. And that's what exactly what happened. Like her
Yeah.
son chose different tools to calm himself down because his anger was coming up as well. Like he was seeing his mom getting angry and left. So all the anger came down to the little sister. So
Mm.
whenever he felt like, hey, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do, so I'm gonna get angry with you because mom is doing the same thing, right? That's what
Yeah.
they're seeing. And
Hmm.
that's what happened. And that would make her angrier that, hey, this little girl is only 2 years old. You cannot do that to her. But she was doing that to him, and he was just reciprocating
Passing it on. Yeah.
thing. But when he learned, oh, mom is not getting angry anymore, mom is using these different tools, looks weird.
Yeah.
Like he got curious about it. And of course, then we learn about how we can figure out your child's self-calming tools. We can try different outside of the moment. So when he is hyped up and triggered and throwing tantrums, it's easier for him to go to those self-calming tools because we have built neural pathways already. So now he can
That's right.
use those tools. And he started doing that. For him, he learned it was water. For him, he needed water to calm down. And he,
Love it.
hey, mom, can I have water? I'm getting very angry. Can I get some water?
Yeah. But that's beautiful because those tools are different for everybody. And I bet it didn't take that long. Kids are like sponges. I can imagine a week of doing that every day they would have that pathway, not perfect, obviously, but you'd start seeing some changes for sure.
Kids, it's no such a thing as perfect parenting, no such a thing as perfect child. I
Mm,
think a lot of times it's misunderstood that if I learn conscious parenting, my child are going to be perfect.
nope, they don't
No,
exist.
if that's what you're thinking, no, then this is
Yeah,
not for you. It's not about perfection. It's about learning these tools. We're going to go through all those emotions. Emotions are there for a reason. We're going to all
hmm,
experience. That's our human right to experience all our emotions.
yeah, it's one of the reasons we're here.
We're here and things are going to go down, but at least you, parent, have the fully developed brain. So if you learn these tools, you can bring it into your family and teach it at such a young age. Like it's just mind-boggling to see my 9 and 6-year-old use these tools, which I learned in my 40s. It's gosh, like at such a young age, they know these. Their relationships are going to be so much more smoother. They will know how
Mm,
to communicate. They will know how to put their boundaries up, which I had to learn in my 30s and 40s, right?
yeah,
Like I wasted all this earlier. It's at least we didn't get to learn, but now we can learn and pass it down to generations to generation. It's just such a beautiful
yes,
thing.
absolutely. Because, like we said, what you teach them now, how you treat them and how you connect with them, that's how they're going to treat their spouse when they're an adult.
Yeah,
Or that's how they're going to allow themselves to be treated as an adult,
yeah,
right? We're
yeah.
growing mini humans. And is it easy? It's not easy. But is it easy to go through all the struggles either? Do you know what I mean? It's look at it, the parents that are thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll call a parent coach." Listen, it's your best bet. If you don't solve, think about if you don't call for help at when they're young, or say we can still make a lot of impact with teenagers. I've coached some 14 to 18-year olds as well. Makes We can make huge strides there too. If nothing happens, where is that child going to be in 10 years or 15 years without these skills? Because they're skills. And newsflash, 30-year educator here, elementary school. Schools don't teach them. We try, right? We try on our lunch break and out at the playground at recess with the 15-minute. The school's education system is not set up to teach these skills. They have to be taught at home,
Yeah.
right?
And I think your child is going to be so much better off. Like when,
Mm,
it's they're gonna be so emotionally intelligent. Like, yes, IQ is great, being smart
mm-hmm.
is great, but EQ, I think it's gonna be probably one of the requirements out there when our kids go out for job search. They're gonna
Yeah.
look who has higher emotional intelligence. That's gonna be such a great requirement. You will need to know how to deal with your colleagues, how emotionally intelligent, how can you work in the team without bringing your egos and all these negativity. So
Yeah.
I think it's such a beautiful thing if we could teach now that it's available to us. Like we didn't have this. In
No.
fact, our parents didn't have it, but we do.
We do. That's why parent coaching, I think, is going to be one of the biggest growing coaching industries because you heard the Surgeon General. It's harming the health of parents, this job of parenting, right? In
Yeah.
so many different ways. And I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but I'm not, but I don't want to pass it off either. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? That it's really, it is a hugely stressful job. And especially when you're trying to do it the best that you can. Again, not perfectly, it doesn't exist. And I know I come from the lens of I was a single mother of two children for 16 years and a business owner and a teacher. I know the levels of stress, guilt, shame. Am I doing this right? And those are all normal things. But if you have someone there to hold your hand and build your confidence up as a parent, and that's someone that's going to tell you to make sure you schedule in time for yourself. Because listen, I do work with my clients and I really make that a priority for them. But did I do it? Nope, didn't do it. Probably should have. Didn't. So some of the things that,
But you didn't have a coach.
no, I didn't have a coach. I did not have a coach. I wish I did because man, it would have, I know my kids are awesome, but you still as a mom, right? You're like, oh, I could have
We don't
done
have
this
villages.
better.
Like they say, it takes a village to grow a child. We don't have villages these days.
That's
But
right.
like-minded moms, communities like conscious parenting communities, coaches, this is where we want to be so we don't feel alone because parenting
Yeah.
can feel alone. And you're not going to go to your friends, your child's friend's mom to vent. Very rarely you would go. You want to keep it
Yeah.
up and because you have a fear of being judged and whatnot.
Yeah.
But when you are with like-minded communities and with coaches who gets this, who's been in this journey, it's not that they're higher than you or anything. They just have been there before you. That's all in that
Yeah.
realm. And they get it. They get it. And there's no judgment. It's a purely judgment-free zone. And you get to have that village that you really need in order to
Yeah.
raise a child. So
Absolutely. The village is so important. Collaboration, community, that's what all parents need. So, thank you so much for being with me today. We could talk for hours.
I
I have
know.
more questions. I have a note here. I'm like, we have to do another recording on brain science. Did you see that in my note? Like, we
Yes.
have to do the full brain science lockdown, save these poor parents from having to read these books that we read, right? And to simplify it for them. I used to teach I have units of brain science that I used to teach to my elementary school students to teach them how their brain worked. So you'll see
Awesome. Yes.
Jahavani back for that one. But for
Yes.
right now, I do have a few more questions that are very important to me and I love them. And I don't think I sent them to you, so they're going to be a surprise.
Okay.
So, what I questions I ask all my guests, trying to be like the big fish. What is your definition of a fulfilled life?
Oh, fulfill life. Uh,
Everybody does that.
right?
That's why I love these questions. I'm like,
You.
everybody goes, whoa. I never thought,
I think
yeah.
obviously, as you grow and as you expand, I think the definition changes.
Mm,
And at this stage in my life, I feel like the fulfillment for me would be really living my purpose fully. I think we are all put in on this earth, including our children, for a purpose.
I agree.
And I think I'm getting more and more closer towards my purpose. And just because when I'm feel fulfilled within myself through my purpose, everything else is beautiful in my life. My marriage is beautiful. My parenting is beautiful. It's just so much peace. And this is what I've learned that fulfilling your purpose, when you get closer and closer towards,
Yeah.
that's when you feel the most fulfilled.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. It's that important out there, parents, that you focus on and try to figure out what brings you joy. Sometimes people think purpose, it's, oh, it's this big thing. I'm going to be like, I have to own this business or I have to do it. No, it's what fills you up, what makes you excited, what makes you feel like you're a kid again. How do you want to serve? That is, yeah, absolutely is so fulfilling. And I think you and I have both found that as parent coaches. I love it. So, how will you know you did a good job raising your children?
I think if we would continue to have this deep connection, that
Mm,
my kids would have no fear to come to me about anything, absolutely anything.
yeah,
We all gonna make mistakes in life. Our kids are gonna make mistakes, no matter what, how well you raise them. We all gonna make mistakes, and my kids are included. And I think they shouldn't be feeling fearful to come to me.
yeah.
They shouldn't feel judged by any mean by me.
Hmm.
I want them to just feel that level of connection with me that they can come to me and say anything and it's okay.
Yeah. That they're loved unconditionally.
And
That's what
they're
that,
heard, they're valued,
yep,
and there's,
yep,
I think that would be if my, yeah, when my children are teenagers or adults, if they say that, hey, I feel heard, seen, valued
yeah,
by my mom. I,
yeah. That's
I've
a
done the
beautiful gift. Awesome. I love that. So we all have challenging times. So what is something like a little mantra or something you tell yourself during those challenging times?
I always tell that, hey, if not this, something better's coming.
Absolutely.
Not this, something's better's coming.
Yes. Those challenges are there for a reason. None of us are getting through this lifetime without them.
That's what grows us. I think I welcome challenge a
Mm,
lot more because I know it has taught me tremendous things in the
yes.
process. The good times, it's great, but the bad times have taught me more than the good times.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Okay, what's one thing you want our listeners to take away from our conversation today?
I think if you're listening to this and something sparked within you, if you feel like, hey, I would love to have that support. There's so many parent coaches out there. There are wonderful coaches out there.
Yes.
Out to anyone who you resonate with. Just don't stay stuck because your kids are only little for a little while and you don't want to lose all this time.
Yeah.
This is the time, whether your child is 5 or 15 or 25. It's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
It's never
absolutely.
too late. But I would say if your relationship with your children doesn't feel connected to you, then reach out. There's so many
Yes.
resources out there. And if you're not sure, reach out to Natalie. She's got too
Yeah.
many, she knows so many people.
I got a few under my
Yes.
belt. Even I tell you, I met a coach that coaches young adults that are moving into their lives, right? Their adult lives. And I'm thinking about calling her because like my son's 20, he's going on 21, and he's third year of university. And at that point, I'm a consultant. There's nothing I can say to him, right? Because I'm mom. I don't know anything anymore. So I'm literally thinking about calling her. Anyway, so thank you so much, honey. Tell people
Thank
where they
you.
can find you, and
Yes.
we'll have the links below.
Okay, yes. So I'm on Instagram. My handle is authentically parenting. My website is also authenticallyparenting.com. And I have a Facebook group called Conscious Parenting for Moms where I share a lot of resources and trainings. So definitely come join. Like I said, yeah, start with something like that. That's where I started with freebies. So start there.
Yeah,
And if it
start there.
resonates with you, come join us. Would love to welcome you within my Authentically Parenting Village. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank you, my
much
honey.
for having me.
We'll be talking again soon.
Absolutely.
Brain science is next.
Same time
Thanks,
ahead.
everybody. So glad you're still here. You do not suck as a parent. But I want you to know about something that we've created. The coaches and the experts that you see in this show, we've gotten together and we've created a community. It's called the Powerful Parenting Collective, where you as a parent can enter our group and have access to many of the experts that you see on the show, to private message them, to have a quick little video chat before you decide to hire them to help you in your parenting journey. Or maybe you decide not to do that. I want you to think about a community that is supportive, that will have events for you, free workshops, free information, and a place where you can really connect with the different experts that you've seen on this show. So click the link below and join us. Basically, think of it like a shopping mall for parents. We hope to see you there.